guys, it's Dana. Welcome back to my channel. Thank you everyone for supporting me and watching the very first video. This video I think will give you some perspective as to why the new home build is so much more exciting to me and means so much more because it almost didn't happen. So I will rewind and tell you why that is. And the purpose of this video is to let people know, please listen to your body. Listen to your body and ask doctors questions. Do not take what they say as word, because it's not. Like, yes, they are the professionals, but they don't always know the reasons why your body is responding to things the way that it is. So definitely ask questions. So let me rewind. Going back to July of 2019, I got sick. I was having symptoms of just feeling really fatigued and like not being able to walk from my kitchen to the garage, which wasn't very far, and carrying my purse. It was really, really hard. I just was so exhausted. So I went to the doctor because I was like, this isn't normal for my body. Went to the doctor. The doctor said, oh, it's just stress. Well, I know that my body doesn't stress that way. So I was just like, no, I didn't accept no. You know, I didn't take her answer. I wasn't accepting of that. So I was just like, no, that's not it. And she's like, no, you know, just get some rest, you know, stop doing too much. Okay. So did that. Nope. Still happening. Definitely, you know, wasn't feeling like myself at all. Kept going back to the doctor. I went maybe like 3 times before I'm like, no, you guys need to do blood work. This isn't normal at all. I'm just way too tired and not able to function like I normally would be able to. So she finally runs lab work, realizes that I have mono. I'm like, okay, that makes sense. I had it a long time ago as, you know, in my early 20s, but I'm like, okay, how do you get mono? For those of you who don't know, mono is the kissing disease. I wish I could say I got it honest, but I did not. So I, you know, got it from, you know, being a teacher, working around students. You can get it anywhere. So dealt with that. Had to take time off work, I think for maybe 6-7 months, because my body, I just could not function. Just doing simple things was way too hard for me. I just was exhausted by doing normal stuff. So, you know, let's fast forward. So end up going back to work, kind of get better, not 100% at all, but go back to work. So everything is fine. You know, then the whole world changes with the, you know, health crisis that we're currently in. So I'm definitely worried about, you know, not getting that. Tried my best to definitely not get that. And lo and behold, I end up getting sick again. So I'm just like, okay, so this was like July of last year. I start having these pains like in my abdomen right below like my breastbone. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, what is this? This is a horrible pain. So again, go to the doctor. Oh, and I'm having black discharge. Never in my life have I ever had black discharge, guys. Like, no. So I'm running to the doctor because this is not okay. So get to the doctor. I go to the OB because I'm thinking I'm at the right doctor. This is the doctor that I should be seeing to correct this. So the doctor says, oh, you know, it's probably like a bacterial infection. Let me give you some antibiotics. And I said, well, don't you want to examine me? Like, don't you want to see what's going on down there? Nope, doesn't want to see. He's, you know, perfectly fine. Oh, just take these antibiotics. Okay. See, that's the part I'm talking about. You have to question these doctors. And I should have made him examine me because this could have saved me a lot of pain, literally pain, and potentially my life. So take the antibiotics, the pain subsides for maybe a month. So it comes back. So being superwoman that I am, I'm like, nope, I'm just gonna take a nap. I'll be fine. The black discharge is gone, so I'm not worried about that. I'm just feeling the pain. So, I just pushed through, which I'm known to do when it comes to my health, which is definitely not something that we should do. So I push through, the pain comes back again. So I tell my mom, and she's like, no, you need to go to the ER. But I'm scared to go to the ER because, the health crisis that we're in, I don't want to get that. So I'm like, I don't want to go to the ER. So my mom was like, no, your sister is coming to get you and you are going to the doctor. So my sister said she's taking me to the ER. But, I had to fight that a little bit. No, take me to urgent care. That's what I told her. So she takes me to urgent care. Urgent care says, we can't do anything for you here. You need to go to the ER. So I go to the ER. At this point, I am in immense pain. Like, I have never felt pain like this in my entire life. So we go to the ER. Well, I get dropped off because no one is allowed to go with you. That was part of the problem too. I think I was just scared to be alone. So I'm in the ER. Honestly, I only remember about an hour of being in the ER. And then after that, everything just spiraled downhill. So I guess they run tests on me. I kind of remember part of that. I get transferred to another hospital around midnight that night. I don't remember that. But at this point, I guess I'm calling people and telling people what's going on and that I'm scared. Have no recollection of any of that. So next thing I know is they tell me that I have to be sedated. I have to have surgery and then I'm going to be sedated. And I'm like, okay. So I'm scared at this point. I'm, crying because I'm worried about my kids. And for some reason, if I don't wake up, like, I'm giving my mom and my sister directives as to what to do if something were to happen to me, which was very, very scary. So, I don't know everything that's going on at this point. I'm just kind of like, it's like a blur and I'm in and out of consciousness. That's what it feels like at this time. So I go into surgery. I think the first surgery, I want to say that might have, no, I don't think that went successful. During that surgery, it was successful, but at the time, and they're just doing exploratory surgery. They're trying to figure out what's wrong with me. At that time, so I go into surgery and I feel the surgery. I am feeling them cutting me and pulling around on my insides. And it was awful. Like, if I thought I had pain before this, like, this is pain that you would not want your worst enemy to feel. It was awful. So I remember that. And you can't wake up. You can't tell anybody. You're intubated. You can't do anything. You can't move. You're like paralyzed. So I remember, I didn't know how bad and critical I was, but I remember after that surgery was over, people being in the hospital room and they were talking about having to do a second surgery on me. And all I remember is me shaking my head. That's all I could do. I'm telling them no second surgery, not happening. And I'm just shaking my head until somebody can listen. And I remember putting my hand up, like, let me write. And I don't know this, but my mom and my sister are in the room with me. I had no idea it was them. And I'll get to that part in a second. So, but I'm just like, let me write. So my sister later on tells me that she gave me my phone to write, to type, to try to text. But, I'm completely doped up on so many drugs. And so I'm not able to write complete sentences. I think I'm just typing like R over and over again. So my sister said she starts asking me questions. And, I'm just shaking my head. Nope, that's not it. Nope, that's not it. So finally, I think she said, did you feel the surgery? And I just shook my head. Yes. And she said I just gave a look of relief. Like, oh my God. So my mom immediately starts talking to the doctors and anesthesiologists. Why is my daughter feeling the surgery? Why did she feel that? So their answer was, because I'm so critical at this point, they could not give me the amount of anesthesia that they should have, that they would have given a normal person, because everything was just going crazy in my body. So, and I don't know this at the time of everything that's happening. So I end up finding out that, so they're doing the exploratory surgery. They don't really see anything, but at this point, I'm now septic. I have an immense amount of gallstones. So my gallbladder, that was the main issue and the cause of the original pain that I was feeling under my breastbone, was my gallbladder and the gallstones. Later on to find out, the doctor said they had never seen that many gallstones in a person ever. So just to give you a picture of how many gallstones I actually had. So, and having mono, still never getting rid of that also contributed to this being way worse. So I had, I was now septic. I had pancreatitis. My kidneys were failing. And then completely independent of its own, my heart was starting to shut down also, which I realized I had like a heart defect that who would have known? My cardiologist, let me know that only 20% of patients, or only 20% of people get this, and majority of them do not live from this. He told me that the CEO of Google was 36 years old and he had this and he didn't survive. So I'm definitely lucky to be here. So everything in my body was shutting down. Like, it was over. My liver was shutting down. Everything, guys, like everything. They said that I died on the table 3 times within an hour. They had to bring me back. So I think that was, being in the doctor after all this was over and hearing my cardiologist say, you died on my table and I brought you back. That's really hard to hear. And the fact that, what if I didn't go to the doctor? I had no idea that there was something wrong with my heart. I swear this was God. This was all God. Had no idea. I could have died at home. My kids could have found me. No mother wants to think about that, hear that, ever. So, just even talking about it, I think you guys, I've cried like maybe 3 times since all of this. Like, I didn't have time to cry or really process this. I was, working on healing and just recovery, because it didn't just stop there. So, I'm in the hospital recovering. I had to be put on a ventilator, because I wasn't able to breathe on my own. So I was in the hospital for maybe about a month, and sedated for about maybe half of that time. So when I woke up, I literally thought I was kidnapped. Like, it was traumatic. I'm just like, where am I? This is not where I'm supposed to be. I totally forgot like everything that happened. Like, I didn't remember ever going to the hospital. I'm just like, who are these people? What did you do? And you're trying to kill me. So I'm seeing things, I'm hallucinating, I'm, seeing green smoke coming out of the vents in my hospital room. And I'm trying to tell the nurses, like, you guys don't see this. Like, my body feels weird. I'm not able to move my muscles. I have no strength. Like, I'm a pretty strong woman. And for me not to be able to move my muscles, and again, like, I'm hallucinating. I won't go into all those stories because I was completely like out of my mind with things that I felt were happening to me. And that was scary within itself. It's really like fight or flight. And at that point, I started to fight in order to flee, because I'm like, no, you're not going to kill me. I have kids to go home to. Like, this is not going to happen. Like, that's all that was on my mind the whole entire time were my kids. Like, you cannot do this to me. So at this point, I'm cussing out the nurses. Like, I'm letting them know, like, I'm not going to stay here. I'm ripping stuff out of my arms that I had no idea that was sutured to me, but I'm pulling it out. I am fighting to get out of here. And I'm starting to fight the nurses. But I also knew, like, Dana, like, you're strong as hell. Like, these nurses must be about 5 feet tall and, 110 pounds. Like, why can't you take them? This is not normal. So I'm like, see, like, I'm so drugged that I don't even have, like, muscle strength anymore. Like, this is insane. So at this point, I'm sure they probably doped me up some more and restrained me. Yeah, I was restrained to the bed. I could not move my arms at all. And I'm just like, you feel defeated. Like, if I haven't known defeat, that was the absolute moment of just defeat. I remember just, I cried one single tear, and I'm just laying in the bed. And the nurse is like, what's wrong, sweetie? Like, I see you have a tear. I didn't even want to try to talk. I didn't care anymore. Because no matter what I said, I felt like nobody was going to believe me. I was mad at the whole world. I was mad at my parents for allowing this to happen. I felt like, at the time, they were trying to kill me. They hated me. Why did you put me in this situation? You're not coming to get me. I'm telling you that I've been kidnapped. What's going on? And in a different city in California. I told them I was in Oakdale. I don't know where that came from, but again, part of the hallucination. So, I'm in the ICU just going through it. Like, I remember putting this nurse, he was a student. Like, I worked his ass. When I say I worked him one night, I told him I was hot. I told him I was cold. I told him I needed ice. I told him, he needed to check my, the bucket for the catheter, that it needed to be emptied. I told him my sheets needed to be changed, that my bed was uncomfortable. And I'm like, Dana, why are you doing all this? Like, at the moment, I didn't know why I was, being so needy. And on top it off, I was on my menses, because that everything, the trauma that happened to my body triggered that. So I told him that, my pad needed to be changed. I am literally like, I'm asleep that whole night, or I'm awake that whole night. And I basically made him stay with me. And to look back on it now, it was because I was lonely. So I wanted someone in the room with me, just being lonely and scared, because you're not allowed to have any of your family. And I didn't realize how lonely it was until I got home to be with my family. It was very lonely. So if you're watching, I sincerely apologize to you for putting you through it that night, because I think I asked for about everything. And I remember them telling me, like, oh my gosh, like, you're so good. And, prior to this, like, you don't ask for anything. Well, I made up for it. I definitely made up for it that night. And so, I was able to advance out of ICU and just be put into med surg in a regular room, which was amazing. And when I tell you I didn't even know I had all this stuff attached to me when I woke up, but I had so many lines and bags and tubes attached to me. Like, it was unreal. And so finally being able, and I will insert a photo of some of that stuff. So it is graphic. And then, just the scars from now. I will definitely insert a photo so that you can see that. But so when I got moved to med surg, because I was less critical at that point, you know, the tubes and stuff started to disappear, which was great. Like I had, you know, bags of IV fluid, food, just everything. So it was crazy because they did have to insert a PEG tube. And for those of you who don't know what that is a feeding tube that goes directly into your stomach. So I had that. I had 2 drains for, I cannot pronounce this, biliary drains or something like that. I don't know. I can't pronounce it. But it was to drain the fluid, one from my liver and one from my gallbladder. And that stayed with me for way too long. I think about maybe 4 months. And it stinks, guys. Oh my gosh. The smell of that was awful. So I had that. I had a dialysis port in my neck. I had a PICC line on the other side of my neck. So that's so they can get direct access to your vein for blood work and to administer medicine to you. It's similar to an IV, but it allows, it can stay in longer than an IV. And then on top of that, I had IVs. And then I had, I don't know, something here. I still don't know what that was, but I know that hurt a lot. And so on total, I think I had about 9 different procedures that they poked holes in my body and cut me open, because in the main scar that I have when they were doing the exploratory surgery, that's about a 6-inch scar, and they had to leave that open because I was so sick. They could not stitch it up and just close it up like they normally would. They left it open so I could heal from the inside out. So that had to be packed daily with, I don't know, some gauze looking stuff, and they would take it out and put stuff back in. I hated that process. It was awful. But you know what? Through all of this, I had so much support, and I am so thankful for everyone who supported me. You know, most of all, my mom, my kids, one of my best friends who was amazing, my work best friend, like, just people were amazing. Like, they dropped their lives to come and take care of me, and I will be eternally grateful for that. And, you know, don't know how to repay people for that, because it was amazing. Because I'm not one to ask for help. I'm very prideful, and I will help you all day, and I will make sure that everybody else is taken care of. But when it comes to me, it's like, no, I got this. But no, I didn't have it. I needed everybody to help me. So from there, the major thing was, I didn't know that because I lost so much muscle mass and, you know, my strength being in the ICU and not walking, they say if you don't use your muscles for 4 days, you can lose them. So I didn't know how to walk anymore. I woke up not realizing that I could not walk. I couldn't feed myself. I couldn't even hold my phone. The phone was literally too heavy for me to hold. To learn how to text again, guys, like, when I tell you, like, it just, and I'm like, I know how to do this, but no, I had to, like, learn how to do this stuff again. I had to learn how to put the fork to my mouth to feed myself, and that was a struggle. Like, that was just awful. Like, my arm, like, I knew what to do, but my arm physically could not get to my mouth. So I had to go to a rehab center after I left the hospital to learn how to do these things again. So I had the occupational therapist, I had physical therapy, you know, and that was a grueling process. They worked us for about 5-6 hours a day to learn how to walk again. And mind you, I'm still suffering from mono, so I don't have the energy. And I'm sick, so I really don't have the energy. It was like a double whammy. So I did put up a fight in the physical therapy. I'm like, in rehab, I'm like, no, I'm not doing this. Like, you pulled me out once today. I'm tired. I cannot do this. Like, you want me to walk around, you know, with the walker, and I'm tired. Just put me back in the wheelchair. Like, I'm not going to be a fighter today. Maybe tomorrow, but today it's not going to happen. So yeah, they did get pushback on that. A lot of pushback. But when it was all said and done, I was looking at like, I'm paying for this. Like, not you. You guys are still getting paid regardless. So if I don't go to physical therapy and go to the gym today, you're still getting paid. So no, I'm tired. I'm listening to my body. And will I walk again? Yes, absolutely. But it's just not going to be today. So yeah, so I started, I was able to walk up like 2 stairs. Little by little, I'm, starting to regain my muscle mass and being able to walk. But I definitely look like, a 1-year-old learning how to walk, for sure. And having to use a walker and stuff. So I was able to go home. Well, no, I pushed that up a little bit because they were trying to keep me, I think, 3 extra days. And I'm like, what is 3 extra days going to do? I'm going home. Because 2 of those days we don't even do physical therapy because it's the weekend or something. So no, you're going to release me today. I'm going home because it was my daughter's birthday that next day. And I'm like, I'm not missing her 12th birthday. Not happening. I'm going to be with my baby for her birthday. And I just missed my kids. Like, I just miss being in my own space. There's nothing like being in your own house to recover. I needed that. I needed to go home to recover. Was it chaotic and crazy? Yes, but it was my chaotic and crazy. So I was used to that, and it was what I needed. So, okay, so I go home thinking, and I think everyone thought too, oh, okay, Dana's home, she's good now. She's great. No, that's when shit really hit the fan, because now I don't have the 24-hour care that I had in the hospital. And I'm still learning like how to become my own nurse when the nurses aren't at my house. Like, I have drains and things that are attached to me that I've never had before in my life, and nursing is not my background. So I, have no idea what to do. I'm learning how to clean all these tubes and to flush them out. And oh gosh, the tubes are also healing in my skin. So I have major scabs. And let me tell you, if they pull a little bit, oh, the pain I would feel. And I'm not even using the PEG tube because I'm able to eat now. So it's just there, but they didn't want to take it out just in case something were to happen. Because I still have to go back for another surgery. But they could not, I had to get my gallbladder removed, but they couldn't do that right away until my body healed somewhat. So I had to wait. So in the meantime, I have to keep both of the drainage tubes and the PEG tube. And the drainage tubes, like when the bags got full, and if they weren't attached to me correctly, like with the safety pin or, hooked on to me correctly with Velcro, oh my goodness, they would drop. And so when it drops, the tube is pulling your skin out. And oh yeah, that brought some tears a couple of times, because I'm like, oh, I did not expect that. That hurt. So I had major scabs, drainage coming from that. It was really gross and stinky. And then I'm trying to do stuff on my own. I'm independent. So now I'm having to rely on someone to help you go to the bathroom, to help you bathe yourself. I couldn't take showers at this point. So I just had to do wash-ups. So I'm like, no, I'm going to wash my own self up. And yeah, that just wasn't, let me tell you, that didn't work out the way I had planned at all. I was in a lot of pain, and yeah, I think I broke down that day because I was just so frustrated with the process of healing and how slow it was going. Like, I just wanted it to go faster. I wanted to be able to get in my car. I wanted freedom. I wanted to do normal things. I wanted to be able to cook dinner for my kids. I tried to do that. I would get so exhausted. I would have to sit down. Just trying to make them a quesadilla was like, I felt like I was preparing like Thanksgiving dinner or something. It was awful. It was awful. So, over time, gradually, it definitely got better. Because I'm like, am I going to be able to walk through a grocery store again without feeling winded? And yes, I was. And I'm just so grateful to God that I was able to fully recover, but it took time. I wasn't able to shower for a whole month. And when I was able to shower, I couldn't do it alone because none of those tubes could get wet and the bags couldn't get wet. So I needed someone to wrap me up in plastic. And I'm so grateful for my friend. She would come over twice a week to wrap me up and tape me up in plastic so I could take a shower. And that was amazing, though, that I could just be able to stand up in the shower and not have to get, just baths at the sink, just wipe downs, basically. That's definitely not the same as taking a shower. So, I needed everyone's support, I think, even more than in the hospital, because now I'm at home and then I have doctor's appointments. Oh my gosh. I had doctor's appointments like weekly. So many different doctors, like the kidney specialist, the cardiologist, the general practitioner, who else? The surgeons who perform these surgeries on me. Like, it was just insane. I had doctor's appointments every single week, guys, every week. And on top of that, I'm getting blood work taken. Like, they're taking like 15 vials of blood when I would go to the lab to get lab drawn to make sure that, everything is okay. It was a lot. It was a lot. It definitely humbles you, makes you appreciate and see life in a whole different light. Like, I feel like after this experience, nothing can break me. Nothing. So, and just talking about this is like therapy. So many people have asked me, are you in therapy? No, I'm not in therapy. I think what kept me strong and what has kept me mentally strong is, and just the person that I am, I'm always moving forward. Like, what's next? What's next on my list? What's the next goal? Because I have so many goals and things to do. Like, I'm not finished yet. I'm just getting started. And that motivates me. And I think that's what keeps me sane. And my kids. And that's what, kept me going this whole time. So, yeah. And, there are definitely things that have affected me from this because of the heart procedure that I had to have. They went up through my leg, through my groin, to place whatever they placed in my heart to get it to function again and keep me alive. My leg is numb. I'm starting to regain some of the sensation back from my leg, which is good. But for the most part, it's still numb. I have nightmares about things that happened in the hospital, or just, having to relive that again through my dreams. So that's about it. And, I try, I guess, I don't know. Do I think about it on a daily basis? No, but I get the constant reminder of the scars. I definitely don't like looking at the scars. Because I just felt like, wow, they just cut my whole body up. Like, wow, they didn't have permission to do all this, but I know it was necessary. And at that point, do whatever's necessary to save my life. Excuse me. So that, it was needed. It definitely was needed. And I was able to, express to my parents how I felt in the beginning. But I'm like, at the end, I'm like, thank you. You guys did whatever you needed to do. Like, that was amazing. But I can imagine what it was like for my mom and my sister to come to the hospital, because at the time they were not letting people in the hospital. That you could only come to the hospital if it was end of life. They thought you weren't going to make it. So they thought I wasn't going to make it. So they had my mom and my sister come basically to say their goodbyes, guys. Could you imagine? Like, you have to go and tell your child and, your baby sister goodbye. Like, and to think that you're not ever going to see them again. That, as a mom, I can't even imagine doing that for any, for either one of my kids. So, but, God had another plan. I had another plan. I wasn't trying to die. Nope, not at all. That was not going to be my story. But because of this, I have definitely learned a lot. And I was never scared to die. That wasn't it. I just wasn't ready because I wanted to see my kids grow up. Not scared, no, but just was not ready. Like, I still have stuff to do. But because of all this stuff that happened, I think it has prepared me even better to set my kids up if something were to happen. So that'll be a whole nother video of, how to prepare and things to do. But yeah, so I learned a lot, and I'm just forever grateful. Excuse me. Forever grateful for this experience, even though it took a toll on everybody who, is close to me and very involved. But listen to your body. That is like the moral of this story. Listen to your body and don't take the doctors at their word. Question everything. And I think it's so cute. One of my nephews asked me, "Did you see the light?" No, I never saw the light, guys. Like when, I died 3 times on the table. I did not. I don't remember any of that. So, then the next part was going back in December. So all that happened in September, late September. So December, I had to go back and get my gallbladder removed. At that point, I was excited. Please take this out. Like, hurry up. Let's go. Let's take it out. I'm ready. Let's do this. Not scared, not anything. Just take it out. I want to move on with my life. Let's go. So we go ahead. I go get my gallbladder taken out. Apparently I can't be in a hospital without everybody knowing my name because, since I was like code blue 3 times in the hospital, and when stuff like that happens in the hospital, they announce it because they have to have a team rush in to save that person's life. So yeah, I was announced again during my gallbladder time of getting that removed because, I had to stop breathing. Just had to keep everybody on their toes, I guess. So I stopped breathing. So they had to intubate me again. And so when I woke up, I just remember the nurse telling me, take deep breaths. And I'm like, why? This is not how I normally wake up. Like, why am I having to take deep breaths? So then they later on tell me, you stop breathing. So we were trying to get your lungs, working again. But I'm like, damn, like, okay. So I had one nurse tell me that, please don't come back to the hospital because you can't do anything easy. And for those of you that know me, no, I always have to do stuff with a bang. Like, it's not ever simple, ever. Like, I'm either going to go big or go home. So I kept going big on all of this, which was just like hilarious. I found that to be funny, but thankfully, like, the team of nurses and doctors, I am again forever grateful because they were amazing. When I tell you, I had nurses coming to my hospital room crying, telling me how scared they were for me and that they made promises to my mom that I would live and that I was a miracle. And they were so happy to be able to come to my room and see me because they don't always get that experience. So I'm just forever grateful, like, the magnitude of all of this. Like, I didn't know everything. I found out bits and pieces as time went on, which I'm glad that they did that. They kept certain things from me because it was probably too much for me to handle at the time mentally. But, finding out everything and how, I ended up finding out everything, it was a lot to hear, and the doctors say there's nothing that I could have done differently for this to have not to happened. There was nothing I could have done. It just is what happened. So, cause I was asking, well, like, was I eating, was I eating the wrong foods? Like, what could I have done? No, nothing. So sometimes, your body is just going to do what your body does, and we have no control over that. So I hope that in sharing this story, it just opened somebody's eyes to listen to your body, go to the doctor, You're not Superwoman, and that is okay. I have learned that I'm not Superwoman. I will never be Superwoman. And I'm going to listen to my body. When I start to feel something that's not okay, I'm going to the doctor. No, I'm not going to go take a nap. Like, you know, because I have a lot of life left in me, and that's just not the way I'm trying to go out. So thank you for watching this video. If you have questions, feel free to ask me questions. As you can see, I'm very open about this. If I can help you or save one person's life, I am for that. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and hit that notification button so you will be notified when I post my next video. Bye.